and welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie. Last week, hopefully you caught our video for Camp Read Some More. This week, we're back to the decades. So this week, we're in the 1990s. So Jill, what's your first pick for a book taking place in the 90s?
And it kind of goes with last week, because we did camping last week. The Summer of '99 by J.L. Hyde. For over 4 decades, Camp Shady Oaks was the premier youth camp for summer filled with nature, survival skills, and fun in the remote woods of the Hiawatha National Forest. In 1999, it was forced to close abruptly when tragedy struck. That is now what is now the abandoned location of one of Michigan's most notorious unsolved mysteries gains national attention when former camper Quinn Harsted pens a best-selling account of the events that occurred. The camp remains empty and frozen in time for 23 years before Quinn receives an invitation to its grand reopening. Will she return to the place that continues to haunt her memories in search of answers, or will the secrets of Shady Oaks stay buried forever? So this was published in 2022. And it's our first pick for the 90s.
Summer of 99. My first pick is from an author people are probably familiar with. It is High Fidelity by Nick Hornby. This was published back in 1995. He's the best-selling author of About a Boy. You might have seen both of these as a movie or read the books. So in High Fidelity, got John Cusack on the cover. Rob is a pop music junkie who runs his own semi-failing record store. His girlfriend Laura has just left him for the guy upstairs, and Rob is both miserable and relieved. After all, could he have spent his life with someone who has a bad record collection? Rob seeks refuge in the company of the offbeat clerks at his store, who endlessly review their top 5 films, top 5 Elvis Costello songs, top 5 episodes of Cheers. I remember that from the movie with all their top 5 lists. Rob tries dating a singer, but maybe it's just that he's always wanted to sleep with someone who has a record contract. Then he sees Laura again, and he begins to think that life with kids, marriage, barbecues, and soft rock CDs might not be so bad. Do you know your Desert Island all-time top 5 most memorable split-ups? Rob does. He keeps a list, in fact. But Laura isn't on it, even though she's just become his latest ex. He's got his life back, you see. He can do just what he wants, when he wants. Like listen to whatever music he likes, look up the girls that are on his list, and generally behaves as if Laura never mattered. But Rob is stuck. He finds he can't move on. He's stuck in really deep groove, and it's called Laura. Soon Rob's asking himself some big questions about love, life, and about why we choose to share ours with the people we do. So check out Nick Hornby's High Fidelity.
I like John Cusack a lot.
Yeah, I liked that movie.
My next one is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. A little interesting thing about this, if you read Taylor Jenkins Reid, a lot of her characters like cross between them. So there's one in here that was also in Malibu Rising, which takes place in the 80s. This one takes place in the 90s. Okay, Carrie Soto is a fierce, and her determination to win at any cost has not made her popular. By the time Carrie retires from tennis, she is the best player the world has ever seen. She has shattered every record and claimed 20 slam titles. And if you ask her, she is entitled to every one. She sacrificed nearly everyone to become the best, with her father as her coach. But 6 years after her retirement, Carrie finds herself sitting on the stands of the 1994 U.S. Open, watching her record be taken by a brutal, stunning British player named Nikki Chan. At 37 years old, Carrie makes a monumental decision to come out of retirement and be coached by her father for one last year in an attempt to reclaim her record. Even if the sports media says she never liked the battle axe anyways, even if her body doesn't move as fast as it did, and even if it means swallowing her pride to train with a man she once almost opened her heart to, Bo Huntley. Like her, he has something to prove before he gives up the game forever. In spite of it all, Carrie Soto is back for one epic final season. In this riveting and unforgettable novel, Taylor Jenkins Reid tells a story about the cost of greatness and a legendary athlete attempting a comeback. So, a lot of tennis in this one if you like sports books in the 90s.
My second pick is Althea and Oliver by Christina Moracho, and this was published in 2014. What if you live for the moment when life goes off the rails, and then one day there's no one left to help you get it back on track? Althea Carter and Oliver McKinley have been best friends since they were 6. She's the fist-fighting instigator to his peacemaker, the artist whose vision balances his scientific bent. Now, as their junior year of high school comes to a close, Althea has begun to want something more than just best friendship Oliver. But for his part, he simply wants life to go back to normal. But when he wakes up one morning with no memory of the past 3 weeks, he can't deny any longer that something is seriously wrong. And then Althea makes the worst bad decision ever, and her relationship with Oliver is shattered. He leaves town for a clinical study in New York, resolving to repair whatever is broken, while she gets into her battered Camry and drives up the coast after him, determined to make up for what she's done. Their journey will take them from the rooftops, keg parties, and all-ages shows of their North Carolina hometown to the pool halls, punk houses, and hospitals of New York City before they once more stand together and face their chances. It's set in the DIY and mixtape culture of the mid-1990s, and it's a whip-smart debut from this author. It was described as an achingly real story about identity, illness, and love, and why sometimes bad decisions feel so good. So, Althea and Oliver.
The next one is called The Most Precious Substance on Earth. This is by Shashi Bhatt. Bright, hilarious, and sensitive 14-year-old Nina spends her spare time reading Beowulf and flirting with an internet predator. She has a vicious crush on her English teacher, and her best friend Amy is slowly drifting away. Meanwhile, Nina's mother tries to match her up with a local Indian boy unfamiliar with her, saved by the Bell references, and Nina's worried father has started reciting Hindu prayers outside her bedroom door. Beginning with a disturbing incident at her high school, The Most Precious Substance on Earth tells stories of Nina's life from the 90s to present day, when she returns to the classroom as a high school teacher with a haunting secret and discovers that her past is never far behind her. Darkly funny, deeply affecting, unsettling, and at times even shocking, Shashi Bhatt's irresistible novel and stories examines relationships between those who take and those who have something taken. The Most Precious Substance on Earth is a sharp-edged and devastating look at how women are conditioned to hide their trauma and suppress their fear, loneliness, and anger, and an unforgettable portrait of how silence can shape a life. So this was published in 2021.
My next pick is a familiar one also. This is Bridget Jones' Diary by Helen Fielding. This was published back in 96. I remember the movie with Renee Zellweger. So in this one, you first meet Bridget Jones, a 30-something singleton who is certain she would have all the answers if she could A, lose 7 pounds, B, stop smoking, and C, develop inner poise. It's the devastatingly self-aware, laugh-out-loud daily chronicles of Bridget's permanent, doomed quest for self-improvement. A year in which she resolves to reduce the circumference of each thigh by 1.5 inches, visit the gym 3 times a week, not just to buy a sandwich, form a functional relationship with a responsible adult, and learn to program the VCR. So that tells you we're in the 90s. Over the course of the year, Bridget loses a total of 72 pounds. But guess what? She gains a total of 74. She remains, however, optimistic. Through it all, Bridget will have you helpless with laughter, and like millions of readers the world round, you'll find yourself shouting, "Bridget Jones is me!" So check out Bridget Jones' Diary by Helen Fielding if you want a book from 1996.
That should be required reading. That's a great book. No One Left to Come Looking for You by Sam Lipsythe. A darkly comic mystery set in the vibrant music scene of the early 1990s in New York City. So, Manhattan's East Village, 1993. Dive bars, DIY music venues, shady weirdos, and hard drugs are plentiful. Crime is high, but rent is low, luring hopeful, creative kids from sleepy suburbs around the country. One of these is Jack S., a young New Jersey rock musician. Just a few days before his band's biggest gig, their lead singer goes missing with Jack's prized bass, presumably to hock it to feed his junk habit. Jack's search for his buddy uncovers a sinister entanglement of crimes tied to local real estate barons looking to remake New York City, and who might also be connected to the recent death of Jack's punk rock mentor. Along the way, Jack encounters a cast of colorful characters, including a bewitching, quick-witted scenester who favors dressing in a nurse's outfit, a monstrous hired killer with a devotion to both figure skating and edged weapons, a deranged, if prophetic, post-war novelist, and a tough-talking cop who fancies himself a retro cool icon of the homicidal squad, but is harboring a surprising secret. No One Left to Come Looking for You is a page-turning, suspenseful novel that also serves as a love letter to the bygone area of New York City where young artists could still afford to chase their dreams. So that sounds like the 90s. Mm-hmm.
My next pick is a YA pick, actually, and this is Americanized Rebel Without a Green Card by Sarah Saidi. This was published back in 2018. At 13, bright-eyed, straight-A student Sarah Saidi uncovered a terrible family secret. She was breaking the law simply by living in the United States. Only 2 years old, when her parents fled Iran, she didn't learn of her undocumented status until her older sister wanted to apply for an after-school job. But she couldn't because she didn't have a social security number. Fear of deportation kept Sarah up at night, but it didn't keep her from being a teenager. She desperately wanted a green card, along with clear skin, her own car, and a boyfriend. So American Eyes follows Sarah's progress toward getting her green card, but that's only a portion of her experiences as an Iranian-American teenager. From discovering that her parents secretly divorced to facilitate her mother's green card application, to learning how to tame her unibrow, she pivots from the terrifying prospect that she might be kicked out of the country at any time to the almost as terrifying possibility that she might be the only one of her friends without a date to the prom. So check out Americanized, Rebel Without a Green Card.
Rebel Without a Green Card. I love that. So this next one, we should have our co-worker Lauren here because it's her favorite author, Grady Hendrix. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This was published in 2020. Fried green tomatoes and steel magnolias meet Dracula in the Southern-flavored supernatural thriller set in the 90s about a women's book club that must protect its suburban community from a mysterious and handsome stranger who turns out to be a blood-sucking fiend. Patricia Campbell had always planned for a big life, but after giving up her career as a nurse to marry an ambitious doctor and become a mother, Patricia's life has never felt smaller. The days are long, her kids are ungrateful, her husband is distant, and her to-do list is never really done. The one thing she has to look forward to is her book club, a group of Charleston mothers united only by their love for true crime and suspenseful fiction. In these meetings, they're more likely to discuss the FBI's recent siege of Waco as much as the ups and downs of marriage and motherhood. But when the artist and sensitive stranger moves into the neighborhood, the book club's meetings turn into speculation about the newcomer. Patricia is initially attracted to him, but when some local children go missing, she starts to suspect the newcomer is involved. She begins her own investigation, assuming that he's a Jeffrey Dahmer or a Ted Bundy. When she uncovers a far more terrifying, and soon she and her book club are the only people standing when the monster they've invited into their homes and their unsuspecting communities. So, the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires.
Oh, goodness. My last pick is Emma Straub's This Time Tomorrow. What if you could take a vacation to your past? On the eve of her 40th birthday, Alice's life isn't terrible. She likes her job, even if it isn't exactly the one she's expected. She's happy with her apartment, her romantic status, her independence, and she adores her lifelong best friend. But her father is ailing, and it feels to her as if something is missing. When she wakes up the next morning, she finds herself back in 1996, reliving her 16th birthday. But it isn't just her adolescent body that shocks her, or seeing that high school crush. It's her dad, the vital, charming 40-something version of her father with whom she is reunited. Now armed with a new perspective on her own life and his, some past events take on new meaning. Is there anything that she would change if she could? So check out Emma Straub's This Time Tomorrow, going back in time to your 16th
That
birthday.
sounds sweet, and seeing your dad again being young. Well, I hope that if you enjoyed going to the 90s, we gave you some interesting things to read about it.
Yeah, we found some books recently published and books that were published back in the 90s this week. We hope you are following our videos on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, and come on into the library and sign up for our summer reading program, Camp Read Some More. We've got a fun summer planned here at the Kimberly Public Library. Like, comment, share on our video. Tell us what you read in the summer. And until next time, thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.